That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And what do you know? It's time to talk about another superhero show that kind of shines the light on sort of the dark and brutal side of the genre, Dragon. It's time to talk about The Boys Season 3. No. Next best thing, Dragon. We're talking Invincible. Arguably even a better thing than The Boys ever was, depending on your point of view. I mean, The Boys is a great pulpy comic book fun, and of course, Homelander's got a great arc. But yeah, Dragon, this show is something different, man. I remember seeing the trailer for it at Comic-Con, and even back then, I was thinking like, okay, there's something a little off with this J.K. Simmons guy. Like, I don't trust this field of dreams with cape nonsense that's going on right now, And lo and behold, I was right. Dragon, to something to say with my thesis for the show. I think outside of just a couple elements that I'm not a huge fan of, this show really delivers. I mean, it's one of the few animated shows I can think of that really takes advantage of a longer runtime. And at first, when I saw that runtime, I was a little worried, like, oh boy, are they going to draw it out? But no, I mean, it really, every episode feels very cinematic in its own way. I think episode 4 is probably my least favorite, but even that's got its good moments. Which one is better, Invincible or Harley Quinn? That's hard. Dragon, what would you say?
Well, of course, very tough choice. Also, kind of apples and oranges, but obviously the violence is kind of the thing that's bringing them to mind, and also kind of the streaming aspect. But if I were to pick which one can have me blew my hair back more, it would probably be Invincible.
Honestly, same for right now, and barring in mind the fact that I haven't seen Harley Quinn season 2 yet. So, but yeah, I mean, just Jesus Christ, there's moments, Dragon. Like, I feel like 3 particular moments. The end of episode 1, the big chess smash, and then of course, Dragon, the iconic train scene. Oh my God, never will the phrase "more powerful than a locomotive" be be thought of in the same sentiment again after this show, Dragon. Those 3 moments I feel like really escalate. Like it's kind of like how the plane crash scene for The Boys in season 1, like kind of everything sort of like hinged on the moral quandaries of that. Whereas this, it's like, all right, like holy crap, there's a lot of moving parts to this. Just in terms of like how brutal it is. So, Dragon, do you have any other thesis statements? I'm sorry, I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit with mine.
Yeah, well, I haven't said my thesis yet, so yes, Tiki, I do.
Go ahead. I'll just pass the buck. I'm being sloppy with this.
Anyway, being all blood cover and everything, yeah. All right. So I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a comic shop or I've been to the Comic Cons over the years, and I've seen Invincible on a shelf so many times. I always hesitated on it before this show because it was so long running. It was like the base of the main way they sold Invincible outside like a whole slew of little volumes of like a couple issues, like an arc, if you will. Is they had this thing called a compendium. It's like an omnibus. It's like a huge collection. So I'm saying like there's 144 issues total.
I'm very familiar with this format in regards to how they released The Walking Dead. So yeah, it's the exact same thing.
So the point being was always like an intimidating. Like, I'd like to look into this. I can't buy that giant volume though. I can't. Traditionally, again, per The Walking Dead, at all, I mean, mainly that being Kirkman's reputation, I was not really I'm not traditionally a Kirkman guy. Just
you love his documentary work, though.
I do. That I do. His documentary work is wonderful. The whole secret history of comics thing of Kirkman. I love that. Anyway. So the point being, I was never true like kind of like his comic work, mainly through the Walking Dead thing. But over the years, like with stuff like that, he's kind of been winning me over. So I went into this blind. I was really tempted to pick it up. Of course, now the show's come out, you can't really get those giant compendiums anymore because people are buying them like crazy.
Oh, really? So it's not like Watchmen, where it's like, I mean, obviously Watchmen is the most like, but like you can't just go on Amazon and get it for $20.
Well, I mean, you can. I'm saying like you can't like physically. People are like buying it like crazy when they get their hands on it. I'm sure Amazon they're selling out certain varieties of it too. I think some of the I don't know if all the compendiums are gone, but they're selling like hotcakes. Is my point. So
Uh,
anyway, so I went into this blind because I didn't want to read the comic going into it, just given I just had by circumstances like one of the very because I'm not an image guy usually, so I know nothing of this. Really, I've like all I know is like a handful of visual images I've seen when I flip through that compendium. That's all I know about Invincible. Like a few visual things. Okay, so I know what Omni-Man looks like. I have a feeling that that our boy might end up with Adam Eve down the line. It's got a feeling that we kind of see some seeds of here.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying. I know I knew like some shock and awe stuff, but that's about it. So
Did you know about the big twist?
no. Well, I mean, there's blood all over that book, so I could never really tell. Like, that's what I'm saying. I can't really pinpoint what there was exactly a twist, but I kind of had a
didn't
feeling
know
that
directly about the Omni-Man thing.
no. All I know is that the Viltrum's going to come back. That's all I really knew going into it. Is that Viltrum's going to have a big resurgence, and maybe they're not going to be so friendly. That's all. That's as far as a twist goes. That's pretty. But I always figure it's like a Kryptonian sort of thing. Like it's like Generals out and stuff. So I had no idea. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, I went into this blind. I feel the analogy for this show is come for J.K. Simmons, stay for Mark Grayson. That's kind of the mantra. You stay for the Invincible.
That's a really good selling point. Yeah, I would sign off on that.
Seriously, I became really invested in the kid, which I think is the main mission statement of the show. Where this is just it's such a marvelous adaptation. With the original creatives involved with Kirkman and company and Ottman, they replicated the style of the comic flawlessly, adapting into animation. I love the sell of let's take the coming of age superhero story that we've seen so many times before, your Spider-Mans and your young Clark Kents and your whatnots. Like take the coming of age superhero story, nice kid, Mark Grayson, have him call himself Invincible. In each episode, you put him through something that challenges that namesake and makes him earn that namesake. Are you invincible? And we're gonna throw a lot of stuff at this kid. I mean, just look at the finale. We're gonna throw everything at this kid and see if he can still call himself invincible after everything. Still wants to be that hero moniker that he has aspired to be. And in summation, this is Kirkman's testament to superheroes don't have to be played out. If we approach them honestly and from a different angle that we usually do, that's pretty much the testament to Kirkman. I walk away with the show with. I think it's top marks all around. Good stuff.
All right. So, do you have any background you want to get into?
Yeah, I got.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a smidgen of background, not a lot, but just in case people like myself were unfamiliar with Invincible, I can give you a few little a starter pack, if you will. Okay, so 2003, very big year for Image. Image kind of gets revitalized because before that point, you have Spawn and everything, pretty much keeping the lights on, and of course, the Liefeld of it all. Now, 03 rolls around. They're looking to kind of re-energize the brand outside of Savage Dragon. So what happens is, so Robert Kirkman enters the fray, and he pitches essentially two books at Image in 2003. The first story was Invincible, which it's there's no compunction. There's superhero story. Image wasn't really known for necessarily superheroes outside of just like people in costumes. It wasn't really like true blue superhero type fare. Mm-hmm. And that's a fun fact. This predates Walking Dead, contrary to what everyone kind of assumes. And the reason for that is that the Walking Dead's success overshadowed this infinitely, and that's the kind of
right.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, comic fans know about Invincible. Your general audience does not, because Walking Dead skyrocketed and people it's like they're going to the Walking Dead, not this other.
I mean, I remember even like well before the series was even a thing. Like the comic, just in general, was huge. Like I was on. Like I never really read the comic before the TV show. I did get caught up on it, but. But even pre-TV show, I certainly remember there was a hype around it within the comic community.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Walking Dead came out in October. I want to say Invincible was like January or February of that same year. It's just kind of crazy how that works out. And they're both very long running because, again, Kirkman was kind of untouchable in terms of this Kirkman guy's, keeping the Image name alive right now before, like Top Cow and IDW comes by and tries to take her crown. We got to keep this guy happy.
Uh-huh.
And again, it was well warranted, it seems. And just in terms of how we get the show, the main thing I can tell you is that so Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, or Seth Rogen, who appears in this show in some form or another, they of course they're working on adapting all the really cool stuff like your preachers and whatnot, and of course the boys. And yet again, they've been working to adapt Invincible in live action, which is how they kind of get their fingerprints on this, doing an animation. While by the way, they're still working on a live action film adaptation of Invincibles. That's still on its way. I don't know how fast. I think the show is going to help, and I like to think, but I don't know. We'll see. So it ends up it performs so well. We've re-upped the show already for 2 more seasons, and I don't think the boys necessarily hindered this process of like. Yeah, we're killing with the superhero shows right now. I mean, Netflix doesn't have the Marvel shows anymore. We can thrive in this, man. Let's do it.
Well, I'll tell you the true casualty in all this, Dragon, and that's know what I'm about to say. Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh, well, I mean, the Tick's also a casualty, but you're right. Jupiter's Legacy, they're really...
no, I'm sorry. The Tick. Oh, my God. Yeah, I am. I wasn't even considering the Tick, but yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
God, rest in peace, the Tick.
I know.
I'm still depressed about that one.
It still ends on that wonderful warm and fuzzy note, though. I can take some solace in that, like, spoon.
Oh, yeah. They wait till the very end for that.
Yeah, it's earned. But, yeah, it's really all I can tell you about Invincible. So let's dive into this puppy, man. Let's break down our episodes. Let's talk some highlights. Let's talk the adventure.
All right, episode 1. It's about time. Okay, so so first of all, what do you think of the now, Dragon? I got to tell you, I think I probably there was probably an even bigger impact for me with the Guardian subplot in episode 1 because these were literally all Walking Dead alumni.
Yeah, I thought you might like that.
So, my God, this was a bait and switch, Dragon. I was just sort of like, oh, this is a little bit of a Justice League knockoff, but I really like all these voice actors. All right, I'm kind of down for this. It's like a Walking Dead reunion back when Walking Dead used to actually be good.
Hey, real quick question in relation to your point, T.
Yeah.
Have you listened to the Blockbuster Season 2 podcast yet?
You know, it's really funny that you mentioned that because I started it at work, but I got distracted and I need to go back to it.
I bring this up because the actor who plays James Cameron in that is Ross Marquand, and he does multiple voices in this. Marquand, I think it's the way you say. Uh-huh. He plays like the immortal Aquarius, and he plays a whole bunch, and he plays the human body of somebody later on. But the point being, so he's James Cameron in the Blockbuster. He does an excellent job in that. So, yeah, Kirkman loves, and also the Red Skull in Endgame. By the way, he's the new Red Skull.
Oh, nice.
But, a lot of Walking Dead alumni.
And of course, I got to point this out while I still can. While we're talking Walking Dead alumni, Dragon. Poor Stephen Yeun. I mean, he good thing, I'm glad he didn't have to actually go through the horror of getting the prosthetics of getting his face beat in a second time. But Dragon, this is the second time in a Robert Kirkman show that Stephen Yeun has definitively gotten his face beaten in.
Stephen Yeun, though, seriously, the unsung performance of the show, because everyone's going to all sorts of other places in this season because there's so much to love. But seriously, I think he made me invest in this kid big time. I think Stephen Yeun did a superb job in this series.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So the first action scene, Dragon, beyond just like the Guardians of it all, we get introduced to the Mauler twins, who are, oh my God, Dragon, just
delightful, right?
Top marks. They're so good.
Some of Kevin Michael Richardson's best character work in a while. I gotta be honest.
I would agree. Yeah. I love how there's just like a little tinge of pathos to these guys, but they're still mostly comedic buffoons for the most part,
I love how it's completely against type. You think there's going to be kind of like mindless, just kind of muscle the alien foes or something. Where no, these guys are actually really smart, but they also happen to be really, really strong.
Yeah. So, I mean, my God, they really stretch out. I mean, of course, I'm sure a lot of this is, if it's anything like how they adapted Walking Dead. a lot of it is probably pretty comics accurate.
Yeah, so
But
essentially, season one so far, what they've done is season one is pretty much like the first 13 issues, and they just pulled a couple let's say 2 episodes are kind of pulled from later in the run. They're kind of thrown in this season. That's pretty much it's pretty straightforward, but they obviously rearranged things like the big mystery of it all.
and from what I know, they really changed up Amber's character as well.
Well, I know they changed the race. I don't know how many other things they changed.
I think they gave her a bigger role as well.
That sounds. I think I could.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I watched it, not knowing anything about the comic, I thought she was an original character. You know, all I know going into this, one of the very few things I know is that Adam Eve, I'm pretty sure is going to end up with Mark Grayson. Call me crazy. I'm pretty sure that's. But I got to tell you though, those from what I've glimpsed, those two kids, they got a nice future at them. They seem like they're going to be.
Oh, I was trying. That's the thing. I feel like they set them up too well because throughout the whole thing, I was not invested in Mark and Amber. I was like, all right, you know what? This is not a good relationship on either side of the equation. I mean, we'll get to that. But,
all right. But I just want to mention is like Kirkman strikes me as a man who uses every part of the Buffalo with how we've economized their story so well with the Guardians of the Globe and the Mauler twins, and again we're teeing up.
I mean, it is a trademark of his, at least when it comes to The Walking Dead. Because with The Walking Dead, one of the things that made that show so compelling is that of course, I feel like it really kind of blew its load after a while with how many characters it was introducing. But for a while, one of the great things about that show was just how every little character had their own sort of quirks and arcs that they were going on. They all kind of intermingled with each other. And Kirkman's really good at that, man. He's really good at balancing an ensemble.
I love the interpersonal moments before the big thing happens to the Guardians of the Globe because you have, for example, I think my favorite of the bunch, Red Rush. I love that he was having a romantic kind of picnic with I believe his wife and it was either his wife or his fiance. I think it was his wife. And he's he's in the costume and he talks about how everything goes so slowly for him, but it's like he hangs on every word. It was like a really romantic, nice moment between them, and I felt so horrible for her because of that later on, when he doesn't make it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, even someone as minor as a character like her is, essential to the plot in some ways this season.
Yeah, she's representative of Debbie, who's going to be going through something kind of like this. Not necessarily a loss, but something, kind of being married to a super person.
All right, but speaking of Debbie Dragon, I just want to. I honestly think the single most impressive thing that this show does narratively, and I pointed this out on Memoirs, and I think you agree with it, is never before in any superhero story that I could possibly think of has the main driving point, the most interesting storyline, the thing that I'm hanging on every word of, is the main character's parents' relationship issues. I mean, my God. So Sandra, Jesus Christ. Everyone's talking about J.K. Simmons and Stephen Yeun, but I really think when it comes down to it, Dragon, she might have the best performance of the show. I mean, she is...
Never underestimate the power of Sandra. Watch Killing Eve. She's phenomenal in that.
I should. I really should, because I do quite like her. But and so with this episode 1 after the first action scene, it's mostly just kind of like the prototypical. It's almost kind of like Raimi's Spider-Man mixed with Field of Dreams with a tiny dash of Whiplash, Dragon. Just a flavor of Whiplash.
Well, that's a little unavoidable. Let's be honest.
Well, I'm just saying, just as far as it's the mentor figure who's pushing the kid a little too hard. It's like we have no idea how hard it's going to go yet, but
I keep saying this.
There's hints of it.
Simmons' performance is on the man. Just give the man an Emmy with a mustache. I mean, he really earned it. He did. See, here's what I love about him. Episode 1, we tee up, and of course, diametrically opposite to where he's going to be at the end of the season. He's just this soft-spoken, loving father. With, of course, the little twinges of darkness and kind of suspicion, where there's something suspect about him, and I love that when Mark's powers come in to think about it, when Mark's powers are revealed, he doesn't go whoopee or anything, because that's basically signaling to him the plan that he's gonna confront him with at the end of the season. The whole deep down, Nolan dreads dreads this revelation because he knows there's no going back once he refines his powers. Pretty much by the end of the year, we're going to have to enact our plan.
Sure.
And I think deep down he doesn't want to do that, which of course we definitely show. There's something deep down there. It's going to be some humanity for Nolan Grayson.
I think it's not a spoiler to say, having looked into the future of the comics, I think Nolan Grayson is one of the darkest anti-heroes of all comic history, Dragon. I mean, my God, we're going to go on a journey with that guy.
We are. But real quick, back to Debbie. Okay, I think Debbie in the first episode, she gets this perfect scene with Mark, where Mark's starting to get a little too big for his britches. She just cuts that down like fast, and they have this wonderful heart-to-heart. As she calls him out on his ego, and they have this wonderful thing. You don't have to be Omni-Man. Just be the greatest you can be, which, of course, the whole series is going to revolve around like a son trying to become his father. But what happens when you find out your father is actually a terrible person?
I love how in The Social Network, in the opening scene of that movie, Jesse Eisenberg takes that as like a biting, like, did you really just say that to me? Be the best you can be? How dare you?
And of course, like, oh, I love my powerless, boring mom. And it says, I love my a-hole son. It's like, that's adorable.
It's the heart and soul of the show, Dragon. I mean, the episode 1 kind of sets up that maybe Mark and Omni-Man is going to be the heart and soul of the show, but no, like, really, Debbie and Mark is definitely the heart of the show.
We should talk about the real MVP of the series, though. Forget all this J.K. Simmons and Stephen Young and Sandra Oh. Forget all that. Let's talk about Ham the Man. Let's talk about Steve.
Dragon, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was super intrigued about where the storyline was going to go, and then it just kind of dropped off. So I mean, by all intents and purposes,
on the rewatch, it works wonderfully, man. Oh my God,
does it? Okay, please explain how. Please explain how what the payoff is then, because I was struggling to come up with it.
This is great. So
okay.
So I love, of course, we open the series. And you think about it, of all the ways to open this show, why on earth do we start with John Hamm as just kind of a guard at the White House, just is talking, basically having this really wonderfully written speech about he's a stepdad who's very proud of his kid, I believe Max or something, and he's just trying to. And he's just really proud of him. He's looking so forward to walking the graduation stage, and again, like just kind of forging a bond with the kid after he's had such a hard time with his real father. And the point of this, I determine, especially on the rewatch, is that we are in parallel to the Nolan and Mark story and the human perspective, and we thread Steve in 3 key points in the narrative that do tie together everything for the finale. See, at the top here, again, it's, as I said, it's kind of teeing up like the really nice father-son relationship, despite there being something to divide them. And just the pride that he's taking in his son, essentially the lesson that Nolan's going to need to take away by the end of things. That my son's going a different way, and I found a way back. It's pretty much the relationship that our guys are going to want. And in episode 2, just to kind of talk about it, as to get it out of the way, I guess. We have the Buckingham Palace thing.
Yeah.
Now, Buckingham Palace, the idea is that the kid wants to go to Buckingham Palace for like vacation. He's taking him there with him, and we have Steve talking about Buckingham Palace, how the Queen of England essentially kind of comes from a line of tyrants, which obviously big tee up for the Viltrum of it all.
Okay.
And then we have that wonderful blood soak. Again, that wasn't like a horrible blood soak. It's literally Mark, when he discovers his powers, he tosses the trash bag from of all the burger meat and everything from the Burger Mark job. And his lands, basically the kid saves his father, and like, you called me dad. It's like this wonderful, heartfelt moment soaked in blood, which yet again teeing up the finale. And of course, ultimately where we go is the kid. His father, he works at the White House, where they bury the bodies. They bury the bodies of the Guardians. And they find the Immortal's body, which the Immortal is going to be the big, oh my God, what are you, Dad? What did you do? We need to talk. It's all threaded there.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay. All right. That's cool.
But again, I love how sly that was. All this was right there.
I wish that there was maybe like 1 or 2 more appearances by him throughout the season, just because I feel like it really, like I said, it does kind of like fall off after the first couple episodes. But no, you're right. After having recited all that, yeah, I can definitely see the value there.
And I wonder if he's going to come back at least at like the top of 2 or something, just to kind of maybe close the loop on the
Well,
Steve thing. I don't know.
I was expecting it to be like a, something like he keeps avoiding getting killed in all these action scenes, and then he dies in some like sort of like darkly ironic kind of like
What if we
non-violent
open?
way.
What if we open season 2 with that? Like something had like the kid responds to his father getting killed in this, and the kid blames himself because he unearthed the body with his
That's
friend.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, something like that. But of course, I could look it up in comics, but I'm not going to.
yeah.
All
I
right.
don't hear that. There's a chance Steve was
Also,
original for the show, by the way.
is there?
From what I hear, again, there were some original things added for the show,
Okay,
and I think Steve might be. Yeah,
that's
I think
fair.
that there was like an X-ray thing on the Amazon thing. I don't know if it said Steve was original to the show or not. I'm not sure.
I could see it. I could see it because he is pretty much a framing device. All right.
So, just the
Uh
Invincible namesake. We should talk. I'm sorry. Do you want to go on?
no, it's okay. I'm just we got a lot set up here.
Well, it's the first episode. I was going to talk about the namesake, and then kind of go to the big moment.
Well, I was also going to talk. Do you want to build up like Cecil at all?
I don't. I think Cecil's more episode 2 kind of fodder, but whatever you want to do.
Oh, does he not even appear in episode 1? My bad. Okay, yeah,
I think
we
I
can
don't.
talk about
Yeah,
him. Okay, no,
yeah.
never
Cecil's in
mind
the
then.
next episode. Yeah.
Okay, my bad, my bad.
Right. So,
All right.
so of course we got a lot of like as you mentioned, we have like the big punch in this episode too. So we have the namesake. The Invincible's namesake was changed for this show, and I love the idea that we had here, where there's kind of this bonding moment between Nolan and Mark, and it's like they're playing catch at high speeds, and we just have this moment of most kids your age think they're invincible, but you actually are invincible. So I love that it's also kind of skewed when you think about it. Where that's a parent really shouldn't say that to their kids because you're going to be all reckless and everything. But Nolan would say that because again, there's the Viltrum ego at play there, you know.
Yeah, and also I love the title just because obviously as we're gonna see throughout the whole show, like Mark, he might be powerful. He might be very powerful, but he's not invincible, not by a long shot.
Nope.
Kid can take a hit.
I just love that idea. I just love everything we're playing with the namesake and stuff like that. And every time the name pops up, after the first episode, it's all nice and gleaming and blue and yellow. But as we go forward, it's gonna get blood covered a whole lot, just
I
little by
wonder if
little.
it's just gonna keep going and just get like to a point where it's just like blood on top of blood on top of blood.
Imagine if each season we start off like if the suit's clean at the top of the season. We're gonna start all nice and pristine, but then as we go on, it's just gonna get worse and maybe like torn up and stuff. It's just gonna get completely red by the end of one season. I don't know. Imagine that.
I could see it. I could see it. All right.
But
So
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Of course, like that giant punch too, like that foreshadows episode 8 big time, and it's the litmus test kind of lesson for if you're cut out for this sort of thing, you'll be able to take a punch. And again, I love that there is such a dichotomy to it, where that punch does help Mark. He stands up to the bully, he takes the hit, and again, he's going to chant it's the fire lit under him that he needs to really make the superhero jump. But by the same token, it's like, oh my god, his superpowered father has punched him so hard. He's hit his shot, and I love that. On-Demand did not take any pleasure in that, and of course, it's just going to be so inverted and so all these like things to help Mark are going to be really, detrimental to him later on.
Mhm. All right. So yeah, the big twist.
Yes.
I was I was stunned, Dragon. It really was. And you know what? In the comics, I'm pretty sure it's just kind of like Nolan just sort of like takes them out in one fell swoop.
Yeah, it's like real brief.
Yeah. So I was kind of surprised because the violence that they show in this scene is very much up Kirkman's alley. I mean, it really is. It's like a lot of those shots feel like they could be iconic Kirkman violence, like like iconic frames from The Walking Dead or something. So I just think they did such a good job of like just dragging the scene out for intensity and for a theatrical format. Just really, really good stuff, and just a great it's like a 10-minute long post credit scene, Dragon. It's such a great fake out.
Yeah, I love that there's a post credit scene for every episode, but the last two for obvious reasons. I mean, the penultimate one because things got real serious. We don't have time for we have to end on like a really dot. Like, what did he say? Oh my god, we can't linger on any further, and now we have to stay on that moment. But these post credit scenes, these are not just like kind of throwaway post credit scenes; they're very integral, like this one exactly. It's we're doing like Far From Home sort of post credit scene that, oh my god, we really need this to know what's going to happen.
Right, exactly.
So just again, it was utterly a gobsmacking mystery that the audience knows right up front. It was the best the story adaptation in the whole piece that was just kind of moved all the way up to the first part that arms the audience with the knowledge that, oh my god, our mustachioed hero, it seems, is something really dark going on here, where he's brutally and violently killed the entire Justice League fill-in. And we're all asking ourselves why. There's your mystery. And of course, you're initially thinking like, part of me is like, was it mind control? Was it something? But I knew in my heart of hearts, like
does he know something we don't about the League?
Exactly. Like, is there a reason for it? But in my heart of hearts, just have a sinking feeling that something tells me this is this was not mind control.
You know what's great about the answer is that there really is no answer. He pretty much just does it just to wipe him out, just because they're in his way. It's like there's no real agenda behind it, besides the mission that we sort of already knew about.
And that's kind of the bittersweet thing. You look at episode one, at least but the way I kind of read it, I guess my head canon or what it had is that the episode's called "It's About Time" because Mark gets his powers, and that's the big line. Hey, it's about time you got your powers, but also, it's about time is that, well, now the timetable's been stepped up, and what's the first thing we're going to do? Well, now we have another Viltrumite. Going to kill the other poser heroes in his view. We're going to kill all those guys. So Mark getting his powers means all these people have to die.
Oh boy,
which is really sad. Well, the violence on the whole, because there's going to be a lot of it, Tiki. My favorite thing about this show is in terms like the violence. Some people would easily chalk it up to, oh, it's Amazon's take on superheroes, a lot of violence, just like The Boys. I love that. We had the whole opening sequence at the White House to establish the Guardians of the Globe are not the Seven. They're not the violent, superheroes from The Boys. They're very heroic, very earnest. They mean well. There's very obviously knockoffs of Justice League.
Definitely,
the point stands.
I feel like The Boys is much more of like just a straight up dark parody of the genre.
Yeah, The Boys is cynical, where this is not.
Yeah, this is a different take on the genre, but I wouldn't call this parody by any means.
True, and I love that the violence is not for shock, but authenticity. That's where Kirkman's really driving the point home, is that even outside of like this very brutal sequence of murders, just taken ordinarily, when you punch somebody in the face, there's going to be a little bit of blood, and that's just the authenticity of like, yeah, if you punch somebody, stuff's going to come out. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to hurt.
Kick-ass on steroids, Dragon.
Yeah, you pull some Brad Bird stuff there. It's like on Saturday morning, you should let, even in animation, you should let people be able to die, because that establishes your stakes. And so showing that people can get hurt, people can die very easily, very brutally. You have stakes for your story. You're gonna worry for people. Even the Invincible kid, as we can see in our image here, he can bleed. It's gonna take a lot to make him bleed, but he can bleed. I'm gonna be worried for him. It's not like Superman. He can't just brush it off unless it's green.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. The episode one, very eye-catching with the finale, of course. And also Mark Hamill in there is a very Stan Lee-ish Taylor.
Man. Yeah, Mark Hamill has a great sort of like very understated, very minimal role. But honestly, that scene towards the end of the season is one of my favorite scenes of the whole show. I think you know what one I'm talking about.
Oh, I know. Seriously, I adore how we use Mark Hamill. Here's the thing. In Black Lightning, there's a character called Peter Gamby, and he's the guy who tailors the costumes. He's a tailor by trade, and he's like his Alfred. He makes his suits. He helps him out. He's a friend of the family. And we kind of took that archetype. We kind of mixed in like a little hair of Stan Lee in this character. It's kind of a guy who's been there, seen it all, real New Yorker.
Sure.
So really, really nice. Again, Hamill brought like a nice. Again, we don't use art too often. We use them just in the right amounts. Of course, because it's very integral to solving the mystery. So art's important.
All right. So episode 2, Here Goes Nothing. Okay. So can we talk about Cecil now, please?
Yes. Let's talk about Cecil, man. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So yeah, Walton Goggins, man. He's just on fire in this show. I love this character, Dragon. I really do. At first, the first episode or two, I didn't quite know what to make of him. I was like, should I trust this guy? Should I not? But honestly, Dragon, I really do think besides Invincible himself, he might be the most heroic character in the whole show.
I mean, along with Adam Eve, probably, yeah.
Adam Eve, sure. She's kind of on her own journey, but I'm saying like Cecil, he just goes to such great lengths to to do what he does, and his dedication towards the cause. I mean, he really is just
Well, plus, Cecil has a better chance of dying too. That's the bigger. Yeah, he almost gets killed constantly. So,
yeah.
But yeah, seriously, of course, Cecil being kind of an amalgamation, like look-wise, he looks like Jonah Hex, but he's very much kind of like Nick Fury. He's like Nick Fury meets Jonah Hex.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the GDA, the global, I believe the Global Defense Agency, I think. They again, I love the next level response and kind of our Shield-esque kind of government force of the show. Where they they have like invisible soldiers like from Rick and Morty posted everywhere. We got the teleporter watch. We got. We can save. We attempted to save the immortal with like the resuscitative kind of technology and make the parts of the body alive, like even though he's been decapitated. Just backhanded by I'm the man that being decapitated, by the way, brutal. But I just love that I love how we have the opportunity to save our mortally wounded heroes because these guys are so on top of what they do. So Cecil is awesome, no question. Also, my favorite thing in season one, in terms of character dynamics, I love Cecil and Mark's dynamics so much. Donald's good too. I mean, no.
I just want to bring up Donald just for the whole. You're right, Cecil and Mark's dynamic is great, but Donald just looks like a fucking grown up Bobby Hill, and it's honestly distracting.
Yeah, he does. He's got like Mike Mignola glasses and everything.
Yeah. Like the first time I saw him, I was like, "Whoa! Did Mike Judge come in to guest animate this?"
But seriously, though, again, Cecil and Mark, they got a really lovely dynamic where he's kind of like, again, even though he's kind of being crestfallen by Nolan, he's kind of investing in this kid of like, maybe I can show this kid the ropes. It's really nice. It's kind of like the ultimate Spider-Man Nick Fury dynamic.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, so let's see. So we meet the teen team in this.
What do you think of Rexplode, Dragon?
Oh, Rexplode. So I'm very familiar with Jason Mantzoukas from when he pops up and things. He's a big favorite on the Greg Daniels shows. Like he's in The Good Place. Well, I'm sorry, not Greg Daniels, Mike Schur. Sorry, Mike Schur, one of the other guys. Well, I mean, I'm really familiar with him from Brooklyn Nine. He plays a crazy undercover cop, and it's hilarious. But yeah, so Jason Mantzoukas can be really funny. You know him from Solar Opposites and like the whole alternate timeline finale.
Sure, yeah.
But Rexplode, I mean, he kind of grows on you after a while, but
a little bit, a tiny bit.
He is a big old jerk, though. That's the point. He's a big jerk, but he kind of grows on you a little bit.
It's like I feel like they like considering what he's doing. Like the point of when you enter the story and he's just like instantly cheating on the most the most noble character in the show.
Absolutely,
that's not a good look, right? That's not a great.
It is not. He's just such a prick, and like when Invincible saves his bacon, he's like flips him off. I need your help. Oh god.
But no, I was kind of pleasantly surprised that by the end of the show, it kind of turns into like, all right, he's a jerk, but he's our jerk kind of thing.
Yeah. It doesn't excuse what he did to poor Eve, but yeah.
All right. So speaking of Eve, I really love this whole idea of that. Like she's just kind of like. She's just kind of like anonymously a superhero who's also a popular. It's almost kind of like a more grounded Kim Possible, right?
In a way, I didn't think of the Kim Possible thing. It's pretty good, but she's just there's a very Kim Possible, like she can do anything sort of quality applied to Adam Eve. The only thing I know about this character is that I'm pretty sure she's going to end up with Mark just from when I see her, because I've seen this character a lot in the comics, so I assume she's going to be there for a long duration. And she's got great chemistry with him. She's the experienced friend to Mark Grayson. Like she's basically Invincible. He's very green. He's just starting right now. She's been doing this for a long while. She's on a team, for pity's sake. And she's showing him the ropes. And plus, her power set's really awesome. She has the power to control matter, so she can do all sorts of things. So again, if she's a smart character, which we know she is, she can do a lot of stuff with her powers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Mark's best friend, who's voiced by Adam Ranal, who was oh god. Wow, I'm surprised I remembered his name, but not Josh Gad. Josh Gad. I'm sorry, he was Josh Gad's co-star on Book of Mormon and the original
Huh.
Broadway cast there.
There you go.
And that Book of Mormon was like Josh Gad's big like pre-Frozen breakout role.
Well, I'm aware of that.
But yeah, so the interesting thing about this character, Dragon, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. William, thank you. Is that in the comics it took him a long time to come out, whereas in this, in this iteration, he's just like already out. So I feel like that's a good switch over.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that they don't really make a big deal out of it. It's not like it's not like an over the top, like, hey, look, we got this demographic. It's just kind of like part of who he is.
I agree until we get to my least favorite episode of the season.
That's totally fair. But
we'll get there. I agree. I think William's a fine character. I love more so the aftermath of that episode. But when we get there, the one episode like a little too William focused. Like, I don't know how I feel about how it turned out. But we'll get there. That episode has a couple problems for him. Anyway. So, overall though, before we should talk about the Flaxens. The Flaxens was his great gimmick, and also the bigger takeaway is that this is Invincible's first like Avengers level battle with like Chitauri. I mean, he's going to an active war zone. He has a panic attack while he's in there. He's freezing, as anyone would if you're going into like people are being slaughtered around you. It's like the gritty version of a Chitauri invasion, and the only reason they survive is because there's that great time dilation effect at play, where like these guys only have a certain amount of time. They're going to go back to their dimension. Once they crack the code, they'll be back, and that's not good. That was a really cool idea. And of course, the guy snuffs it out. Robot. Now, who's Robot, Tiki?
Zachary Quinto. Quinto.
Quantum Quinto.
Yeah, Quinto is very, very understated in this role, but I really I think the payoff with him is a little bit convoluted, but I like it in the grand scheme of things. I'm sort of excited to see where it goes. But yeah, in the first season, I think Robot is definitely one of the more intriguing characters, like outside of the the aforementioned relationship drama between the main character's parents. I would say he was easily one of the big mysteries that I was sort of like, what the heck is this robot up to? I am intrigued by this.
Likewise. Speaking of mysteries, we should talk Damien Darkblood.
Oh my god, yeah, this is a great character. From what I understand, Dragon, a very minor character in the comics who Kirkman is enthusiastic to use more in the show, even outside, even beyond season 1.
Well, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was.
And of course, the wonderful
I love
Clancy
how the
Brown
design is basically just straight up Hellboy ripoff.
What's funny? He's kind of like three things. Okay, he's mainly Hellboy.
Jonah Hex, and then what else?
Well, no, not Jonah Hex, Tiki.
Not Jonah Hex, really?
No, here's what it really is. Like Hellboy, Constantine. Constantine's like in the whole Hell demographic. The whole like basically he's like kind of the detective who's been to Hell, so to speak. John Constantine.
Sure.
And I'm just saying in terms of a story function in the hat, if you will, Rorschach. He's kind of functioning kind of a Rorschach.
Oh, I can see the Rorschach thing, yeah.
But primarily it's Hellboy, but in terms of like him, fearing, basically kind of getting a get out of hell free card for a while. It's very John Constantine-esque. Yes, Clancy Brown does an excellent job with this character, and of course the dynamic with Cecil there, and this guy's on to the actual mission. Every time he enters a room, it gets really cold. Really fun kind of visual runner. For that guy. So on the whole, again, so basically we throw Invincible into a war zone where he's kind of learning as he goes. Again, we see Invincible's strength is saving people, which is great. I love that. My favorite aspect of the show, Invincible saving people.
Yeah, of course, sometimes it doesn't exactly go as planned.
But that's what's great about it. We show, you got to be really good at what you do. Otherwise, it's because that thing when he saves that old woman again, I think he kind of batters her on the rewatch though. We're like,
he does, man. It's kind of horrifying,
and he feels horrible about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But again, he takes her to the fancy superhero hospital, at the GDA, and again, he's going out of his way to help this lady. And we had a really telling moment. This is what I'm talking about. Now that we know about Omni-Man after he heals up and everything, when they're coming out of that hospital, is like. He just gives kind of a callous, like almost like a shoulder pad, practically. It's like, Well, you can't save them all, Mark. And this is like, hey, I want my costume.
Oh no, Dragon. This was Red Flag City from my first watch,
Well,
Dragon.
no, I mean the costume thing, yes, but I mean the moment before that to the
The moment
costume.
before
Like,
that, yeah, absolutely. That's
just the
subtle,
whole like he
sure,
just kind of like
sure.
he was just like trying to give him some advice, but he just again it's like he's awfully callous and cavalier about humanity when they die, especially at the funeral next episode. It's like he's really
Oh
kind of
yeah, oh yeah.
sidestepping that. But you're right, the costume is basically it's the smoking gun of the whole season.
Yeah, totally. I was like, okay, but yeah, Omni-Man. All right. There's no way that costume's not going to come back to play. Nice try, buddy.
Yeah, that costume was definitely okay. This ain't mind control.
Right, exactly.
How terrifying was it when Anime was back in action? He took on the Flaxons and he got sucked in the time portal, and he is decimating
it's
that
great.
planet.
He's basically like the Thanos of that planet.
I love that he basically is so horrific. He grabs the character's called Slash, the one with like the giant, the one that keeps going after Mark and everything during the action scenes. The one who gets like the giant mech and everything. The leader, he just grabs him by the face, and again, this is like a little tease for that finale. Like, when an Omni-Man grabs somebody by the face, you better just say goodbye, okay? Because you're done. He's like throws him through like so many skyscrapers. He's just like a spinal cord or something. It's so
yeah.
But yeah, I just love the fact that he terrorized that planet until they sent him home. Just until they sent him home for like months or weeks because he has a full beard. Like, oh god.
Sure.
Okay, Alan the Alien. Then we move on. We gotta talk about Alan the Alien.
Yeah, Alan the Alien, from what I understand, is a big fan favorite character in the comics, so I think there's a lot more to get to with him.
And he's perfectly cast in Seth Rogen.
Oh, he is, absolutely. I like that he's kind of just like a big sort of like, he's like an omen of bad things to come, but at the same time, he's just like one of the most chill characters in the show.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. So the initial lie about Viltrum essentially is that Nolan frames Viltrum as it's like the Green Lanterns. Like we send a member of our kind of planet of our surviving Krypton, if you will. We send one of our guys to protect the planet. We assign him a sector. We assign him a planet. And Alan is the actual version of that, where he's going to make sure the planets are protected and covered. Otherwise, send like one of his guys to kind of make sure it's well defended and stuff. So that's kind of it's kind of interesting, given the lie and the reality. And also, there's a little clue in that Viltrum thing. We saw Alan's race in those little Viltrum flashbacks being either helped or, in some cases, overruled by Viltrumites. So it's yeah. Right.
All right. So next episode.
Yeah.
Episode 3. Who you call it ugly?
I gotta admit, this one I did not quite get the Monster Girl. We didn't have a line like that with the Monster Girl thing. So I don't know why the episode's called that, but it's not bad. It's fine. So we assemble the next Guardians team, and Romance is in the air. It's pretty much episode 3.
Yeah, pretty much. I got to admit, Dragon 3 and 4 are kind of like, after 5. Like 5 is obviously where things really start to kick into high gear.
5's probably my favorite episode of the season. I mean, obviously it's hard. The finale is phenomenal, and obviously episode 1's hard to beat. But 5 is probably my favorite, if I had to be honest.
6 is a little bit of a speed bump, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But 3 and 4, I don't know. Both of them kind of drag for different reasons for me. With the relationship stuff, just because the relationship stuff is my least favorite stuff in the show, that kind of like might be why this episode is kind of, not great. Let's talk about Amber, Dragon.
Okay, so Amber, I want to give points to those. Zazie Beetz, I thought was really well cast in Amber. Really made her come alive. And I think I liked Amber until things took a turn. That's where I'm at on Amber.
When that turn happens, she becomes incredibly unlikable.
And I feel that's it frustrates me so, because I really liked Amber. I love that complication where I really want Mark to end up with Adam Eve, but by the same token, Amber's kind of awesome. Until that happened.
I honestly kind of like throughout the whole show, I was almost kind of just thinking like Mark was being an asshole for the most part, but then that turn happens and it's like, okay, no, it's like this is inexcusable. Just for God's sakes, just talk about your feelings, woman.
Yeah. But I mean, initially it seems the big hook is that like just right now, episode 3 is like where everything's all nice and rosy. We kind of have the study date and everything, and the whole like I think she likes Mark because he's emotionally honest with her, which is why the whole honesty thing's a big sticking point with her. I don't think that gets conveyed well enough, but that's essentially what happens. And again, Eve. This is where Eve gets cheated on by Rex too. So basically, that's what the whole is like a whole relationship thing in the episode too. And Debbie with basically Debbie helping out Olga in terms of like her reeling over the death of her husband, and Debbie kind of getting her eyes open to something might be amiss here.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, of course, not only did Rex cheat on Eve, let me just frame it for folks like so. Not only did he cheat with Eve, he cheated with one of the other members of the team, Duplicate. So if you can't gauge it by her name, Duplicate can replicate herself. So it's even worse when you think about it.
Come on, at least I wasn't doing it with the original one.
We're all the original one.
Oh God.
God, just fun. Also, we're pairing up Eve and even Invincible in the field. Like we're going after Doc Sizeming, and isn't the Kirkman writing at play? I really like here, where it said, Doc Size, he's a mad scientist who's very woke by happenstance, but he's a mad scientist who, basically he uses these earthquake gloves, and logically, when you use earthquake gloves, potentially unregulated earthquake gloves, they're going to give you concussions, which made him a little confused and everything, made him even crazier. That's a good idea. And Invincible saves the family, and exactly. So the funeral, though, the funeral is like a twisted idea, knowing what we know about the story, and seeing, I'm the man, and Nolan are given the big heartfelt funeral speeches, and how twisted is that?
Sure.
Yeah. So it's. So Nolan keeps imparting that you have to keep your lives separate. And we have that really intense moment post the funeral where Nolan's completely unsympathetic to, hey, we just buried people. We should feel sad. Like, no, we gotta move on. There's, you cannot let entangle these two parts of yourself, Mark. You got to stay focused. Which again, he's so callous about Red Rush after he could just run fast. Like Nolan's being such a.
I feel like that line in particular was probably the first red flag from Debbie's point of view. I think.
Certainly, I agree. Yeah. I think it's about. We had the giant kaiju fight, which is the kaiju is going to come back big time later on as well, and the Mauler twins escape, and of course they escape on chicken pot pie night.
Oh God,
I love that. My favorite bit in all that, by the way, I love Sorry Pete. We're basically the guard who brought him the chicken pot pie, and it's like you realize like, oh, I got to escape. Sorry Pete, and he has to put the poor guy in traction to use his arm and everything. It's like, oh God. And then where we have like the big mustache, like the seeming mustache moment with Robot. He's he's got the plan involving the Molar cloning tech. He's kind of watching him and keeping an eye on him. But the big thing oh my God, the main thing of episode 3, the auditions, the tryouts. What did you think about some of the new blood on the new Guardians of the Globe team, like Monster Girl?
Monster Girl is easily the most compelling new character here. I think a lot of the characters kind of just blend into the background.
Yeah, but they're really cool. And by the way, it's so funny, the name thing, which pretty much everyone but Invincible has, and I guess technically Robot, has like their name worked into their superhero persona. And again, it's for a really smart reason, says Eve. Like, you just call people by your name so you don't have to worry about slipping up and, it's kind of like using your real name. So it's like Black Samson, Shrinking Ray, her name's Ray. And, it's kind of funny.
Sure. Yeah, that is,
you're right.
That
is a little girl.
That is a good bit of role building. You're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like with the overall team, like as the seasons go on, we're certainly going to have more opportunities to flesh out some of the more minor characters. So I'm not too worried about it.
Sure. And again, we all have I think like some characters, like I think Samson gets a little bit more well-rounded in dialogue.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's, outside of Monster Girl, he's also easily one of the ones that pops for sure.
But I agree. Like, I would like to know more about Shrinking Ray because one, she's voiced by Greta Lyles, but two, Shrinking Ray. It's cool. It's kind of a shrinky power. It's kind of interesting.
Right.
But I hear you though. I think I'll be eager to learn about more of these characters as we go along, which we definitely have the real estate for, is given where we're going.
Sure. Okay, next up, episode 4, Neil Armstrong, Eat Your Heart Out. Dragon, this was my least favorite one. I gotta admit.
Even more than 6?
More than 6, only because I really dug the Ezra Miller villain in 6. I really thought he was very, very creepy. Very creepy.
God, he is. So that guy deserved what happened to him, by the way.
So that's kind of what puts 6 over this one for me. For this one, it just kind of feels like a filler thing where it's like, all right, we gotta send Mark off on a mission, and they're investigating Omni-Man, and it just kind of feels like, all right, like we're building to bigger things, but this is more of a stepping stone episode.
I mean, let's be honest, okay? So episode 4 in total. I mean, I don't mean this as a total negative thing, but just to be honest and frank about it, is that episode 4 is entirely that's kind of a network sell of like, hey, here's an example of some stories we could do. This is an episode. This is the episode that's pulled from later in the comic run, by the way. So this is like a one shot.
Right.
So this is more of like a demonstration of what kind of stories we can tell. Like we can go all the way to Mars and just kind of do some cool spectacle stuff as we're also kind of doing our taking care of our story house, which is the main reason it's like episode 4, not like later in the line, because everything needs to be like obviously 7 and 8 need to go the way they're going to go because that's your big build up in your finale, and then you have like episodes 4 and 6 are kind of 5 to a lesser degree, but those are the episodes that are kind of like, okay, we're taking kind of ideas from the comics and showing what it would look like. But also, here's the weird thing. So this is episode 4 opens with pure setup for like a future season. It opens with the whole Egyptian thing with Brian. It's called Kahor, I believe his name is, or Kohor. It's something. Basically, some Egyptian mummy thing that we're setting up for like down the line. So it's a lot of setup for like the places we could go. Episode 4 is, I guess, is my main point.
Of course, the race of aliens on Mars, or the parasites. I mean, that's probably going to be a big thing.
The Sequids, very Star symbiote-esque. That's kind of the idea there. And there's one heading to Earth, and there's one on Mars that's kind of kicking up a lot of problems to the poor Martians. By the way, the Martians voiced by Damon Hansu, being the Martian Emperor.
Yeah, that was just all-star cast all around, Dragon. Like every person who pops up in the show is a big star for the most part.
Again, Kirkman called in a lot of favors, and I love.
He really did, yeah.
I love that the Martians were not just like mustache twirly evil or anything. They were just trying to protect themselves from these.
If anything, they were sympathetic.
Absolutely, and we set up. It's a lot of stuff set up because Invincible kind of screwed up on this mission big time. Even took a rock. It's like a key. I love that it came back. I'm just going to take this, guy. Is that okay? Okay, bye. Okay, so Nolan gaslights Debbie in this episode. A really chilling scene in Rome where, oh god, they have like the dragon themed villain that's going to causing a lot of chaos in the background of Rome as they're having this heart to heart as he's gaslighting her that we're okay, right? I mean, I've been stressed out about worrying about Mark and this killer of the Guardians of the Globe, but as it's like, Nolan, don't you want to act, Debbie? I need to hear that we're okay.
Oh god, yeah.
And it says, yes, we're fine. You have no idea how much. I love how sweet he's being amidst this terrible timing. It's like, it reminds me so much of that scene in Superman 3 where Superman, again, he's affected by the weird discount kryptonite. And he's like, no, we have a few minutes. I always get there in time. The people die because they can get there in time. That sort of thing. It's just that sort of thing. Like, let Cecil earn his paycheck for a change. He chooses not to act, by the way. He doesn't go off. He just says, well, let them handle it. That just chills Debbie to the bone. Retroactively, I'm sure, even though they get a little hot and heavy later on.
Sure. All right. So yeah, pretty like I said, pretty much a stepping stone episode, but that stepping stone leads to Dragon. I kind of agree. Like the last 2 episodes are spectacular, but this one is I feel like narratively it's just a fantastic standalone piece. It really is.
I love this episode so much.
Yeah. You want to get into the opening, like kind of set the stage?
To set the stage, I guess. So Invincible, at this point in our story, he's really seasoned. He's kind of more seasoned in the status quo. Like we see him as the heroes kind of going around doing stuff, but he hasn't quite mastered the dual identity. But more importantly, what we do get in our opening is the other side of the coin. And I love, this is my favorite. I'm sorry, I know I've just now become aware. I keep saying it's my favorite thing here and there. There's a lot of good stuff in this season, folks. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But Titan is probably my favorite idea of the season. No joke. Is that I love the idea that Invincible, when he donned the proto costume, he was going out there. He just kind of ran into this stone enforcer robber guy, and just had like stone skin. And we reveal, like, oh god, this is the guy from the first episode, but this guy has a lot of interesting layers to him. He's kind of Luke Cage-esque in a sense, and how
very much
appropriate.
so. Yeah.
And how appropriate. He's Luke Cage-esque, and guess who does his voice?
Mike Coulter.
No. Even better.
Oh, who? Oh, yeah,
Mahershala
Mahershala
Ali.
Ali. Right. Yeah, of course.
With a Luke Cage pull.
I knew that.
So I just love that, I just love, he's got the stone skin, he's got the strength, and I love just taking that casual encounter and giving the muscles so much development. He's educating our hero in kind of how criminality works, because he's like Invincible's a big picture guy. He's like saving the world from asteroids and stuff. And monsters and armies and like big world-ending Avengers threats, but not the Spider-Man threats. Not like there's going to be slumlords, essentially the slumlord to end all slumlords with a really Daft Punky looking head.
So yes, Machine Head. So I uploaded an hour-long Machine Head, I know where your family lives video. Which, Dragon, I gotta say, I'm honestly kind of surprised that video hasn't really taken off, because, my God, I was actually kind of searching for that very thing, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna make it, God damn it. But yeah, Machine Head is, Dragon, you knew I would love it from the jump, and of course I did. It's just, oh my God, it's so freaking funny but intimidating at the same time.
Machine Head is the most Tick-like idea in Invincible.
Oh, definitely.
It's very like Chair-Faced Chippendale or something like that. We just take like a crime boss who's so smart. Why is he so smart? Well, he's got a machine for a head. That's how he's so smart. Okay. And we had I love the voice we had playing. We had Jeffrey Donovan. I love Jeffrey Donovan from Burn Notice, and he pops up here and there, like he was in that Liam Neeson movie recently, Honest Thief. But yeah, he's really great. And just give him this Daft Punk head, and just give him like that filter of like, I know where your family lives, and stuff like that. So, and what I love is that he plays sometimes, because he plays essentially a spy. He always has to, he always has to, like, the tough talk people. So giving him like a tough talk persona as this crime boss, he's just geeking out over how effective Titan is, and how over his knee he is right now, over a barrel he is, where you can't punch your way out of this. It's just like he's gloating. So you have to pay for the desk too. He just smashed. It was Italian maple. It's Italian. So were the doors, and it's just so fun, It's just, and again, I love where again Titan is giving Invincible such an education in why this guy's so bad. Where he runs this neighborhood, he runs a neighborhood. He's transporting drugs through the trash company that he owns, through the garbage trucks, and he's like burning down houses that he should be maintaining for the insurance money. The guy's a real scumbag. And basically, I love how it ends up at a point kind of like where Luke Cage ends up, in a sense, where he's kind of taken on the criminality himself to fix things up. And I love that he did not lie to Invincible at all. It wasn't a manipulation. He truly is. He asked for Invincible's help, and he just had that moment where Invincible essentially gets beaten within an inch of his life. Is sorry, kid, didn't expect to go down this way. Hope you pull through. Or again, I think he is truly pulling for him.
That's such a Walking Dead moment, by the way. That beat down. It's very, very Negan-esque, Dragon.
And that's one of the other reasons I think 5's the best, because again, look at the episode title. That actually hurt. And also I think we lost visual. But yeah.
It that happens. I don't know why it happens, but it happens.
Nor do I. I think Machine Head's gaming us. But yeah, I just love that. Again, at the top of this episode, Invincible actually has a good grasp on things he thinks, when, of course, his actual kryptonite are the personal relationships. This is where Amber's he's starting to miss the deadlines and everything. He quits his job at the Burger Mart and all that sort of stuff. He's starting to kind of fail at the Mark Grayson side of life, but he's doing really well as Invincible. And the moment he gets cocky and confident in that regard, he gets whooping and a wanton from Beast. Was it Battle Beast? That's Battle Beast, voiced by Michael Dorn. Just like wailing on the guy, and oh my God, we nearly kill our protagonist. And I just love that as the challenge, like halfway through our season, or like a little over the halfway mark. It's just a great way to he's not there yet, folks. Just and it's wonderful. Let's see. Oh, the most chilling aspect of all that, by the way, I think one of the most chilling observations of the season is Omni-Man just watches and lets it happen, because he told him not to do this. He told him, don't help the bad guy, okay? It's beneath you, quite literally. You don't need to worry about these little quibbly affairs. And he just watched his son get beaten near to death.
Oh, yeah.
And
that
he just shows
was
up.
one thing that I knew going into the show, was that at some point, Omni-Man was not going to save Mark from a beatdown, because I saw a lot of thumbnails on YouTube, like, why didn't Omni-Man save Mark?
And Debbie's on to it too. She's on the trail thanks to the little notebook that Damien Darkblood left. Because Darkblood he got sent back to hell. So he's but he left a little clue for her. And she's using like a little Sam Raimi notebook to find out.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and I love the hypocrisy on Omni-Man with him not getting involved. Where it's again the criminals using and lying to you. Where what is he doing this whole season? Like, come on. Yeah, it's just it's an excellent episode. It's a great wonder, and again we had layers to what we think is a bad guy. We haven't covered like the street level crime at all up to this point. This is excellent stuff, and also talk about Eve's parents.
Oh yeah, they're like kind of like almost like just a little bit of a step up from Mary Jane's parents in the Raimi movies. I mean,
only we saw them this time.
Yeah, like they're not great. They're not great people at all. They kind of remind me of Jesse Pinkman's parents to a certain extent in how non-supportive they are.
Definitely a lot of dysfunction in the Kirkman household, I'd imagine. Certainly. Let's see. Last little takeaway in the post-credit: the GDA, as Mark's fighting for his life here, they got a sample of his Viltrumite blood, which basically looking for a kryptonite for the Viltrumites, and none exist.
Mm-hmm.
Complete, yeah.
All right, big stuff.
All right, so 6 is going to go by real quick, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Ezra Miller stuff. I think it's, like I said, it's very creepy. But but yeah, other than that, unfortunately, it is the one episode that reduces William to a gay stereotype, which is like I said, it is unfortunate because I feel like up until that point they were doing a really good job of making him, a character that just happened to be gay but wasn't a stereotype.
Yep.
So, but yeah, let's just rip the Band-Aid off with this whole Amber thing, all right?
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, I understand the whole, like him not being straight up with her and going behind her back and stuff, like, even, because I've heard a lot of people just, straight up say that the worst part about Amber is the fact that she knew that he was invincible and she, and she didn't tell him, and I'm like, I understand about, her being upset about the duplicity of that dragon. I get that. What I don't get is why she's so upset if she knows he's invincible and her whole thing is about being a humanitarian and helping people, that she, like, when he disappears, she literally knows exactly what he's doing, Dragon.
It's like, it feels like a retroactive thing, even though there's no possible way it could be a retroactive thing, given it's a full season. How could it be retroactive?
I think it's easily the most sloppy writing of the whole season, Dragon. I mean, there's just no way around that.
Because if she knows during all the college hullabaloo, I mean, how can she be mad at him in this episode?
She gets so upset, Dragon. She gets so upset specifically about that.
I went to get help, which essentially is true, even though it's a lie. I mean
honestly, if they would have like reworked it just a slight bit to be like, if she would have just called him out there, like, no, you didn't. Bullshit. You're invincible, and that's why I'm mad at you because you're lying. Yeah. But instead it's like, oh no, I'm mad at you because you abandoned us. You pulled a Will Ferrell and downhill, essentially.
I mean, yeah, that, and again, it's basically when we just have it the way we do, it just retroactively, it looks like she's been, she's been getting mad at him for no reason without just calling him out on it. It's silly. It's such a shame because again, there's been a lot of good stuff with Amber.
Yeah.
A lot of BS there with Amber. Again, I want to give Mark points though. Like, it's a secret identity thing. Where I know it's not the best excuse, but that's the way things are done. It's what superheroes do. At least it's like I'm new.
It's funny because like I feel like the whole plot line is kind of like a commentary about how with the MCU kind of like I Am Iron Man being sort of like a watershed moment with this. It's like I feel like the realm of having secret identities just in general is like it's almost kind of like an outdated concept with superhero stories right now.
Yeah, I love earlier in this season we have this great call out of the Clark Kent thing where Eve mentions like Mark knows that she's Eve because he's seen her up close, and again he's looking for he's been in the field, but again your average Joe will not realize that they're going to high school with a superhero because they're psychologically just not thinking about it. She kind of calls it out. Psychology. It's kind of funny how that works, right?
Sure. All right, but yeah, just overall not great. Like I said, the mind control plot is creepy as hell, and Ezra Miller just makes for a pretty damn despicable like snob.
Yeah, I love that we broke that guy. It's icky to watch, but I just love that D.A. Sinclair got his jaw broken because that
Uh-huh.
guy, he needed to be shut up. Like tomorrow, he's talking about like I'm basically the whole like Doc Connors thing about I'm removing weakness from the world. You know, the whole he
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
Loki. He's just a big sleazy creep. And that by the way, these monstrosities are called Reaniman or
Mm.
Reanimen is plural. But the point being Reanimen. What did you think of Royland? Royland was in this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was fine. He didn't really stick out all that much, but he was fine.
I do have to say this poor Rick. That poor Jonathan Groff played Rick, by the way, the lust of of William.
Right,
But
right.
I felt so bad for him. Again, it was really nice to see him kind of get heroic towards the end there and kind of rip out the thing and save William. That was nice. And again, like the Cecil Mark moments here of like them bonding over in the aftermath of like Cecil seeing an angle here, like that gave you a run for its money. I could use this later on. I'm taking the things I've given on the man a run for his money. I'm going to bring this back in the finale. It's going to be great.
Sure.
But yeah, it's like just seeing them kind of bond over like some moments of humanity. Are they going to be okay? Or he's taking a shine to this kid. I'm so invested. Like, yes, you take a shine to that kid. He means he's trying to do good by the world. Yeah. And also, I like that Mark, after his near-death experience, he's contemplating, maybe I don't want to be a superhero anymore. That's why he's going on this college trip. Maybe I want something different with my life. So again, I think I like what the episode's trying to do there, but it does not have the impact, and it's got things working against it. So, and the important takeaway, Debbie confronts Nolan, which is going to bring us to our next two episodes where Nolan's punching the wall. He is not happy. And Steve's son unearths the body. So the Mauler twins now have the Immortal's body for their big. They made a deal with Robot Man up to this point, by the way, and they won insurance. So we're going to get into that next episode. All
right, episode 7. We need to talk, Dragon. When I looked up the episode titles, this was obviously the big one for me. I couldn't wait to get to this episode, Dragon. Just based on the title alone, given the cliffhanger for episode 1, I was like, oh boy, that's gonna be big.
And the whole episode builds to that line. That's perfect.
But I love how the episode almost kind of like it kind of like the we need to talk thing is almost kind of a bookend if you think about it. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Debbie argument actually start at the beginning of episode 7, like the punching the wall moment?
Yeah, she wakes up. No, here's the thing. So she.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It's the morning after the punching the wall, right? Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, he essentially, like, in quotes, slept on the couch. Probably floated or anything. I mean, the point he was like downstairs the whole night, and he says we're going to talk. He says we're going to talk about this later, and then he crashes through. So there is kind of a cyclical we need to talk aspect.
Exactly. Sure. Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So
again, this is where we have the full-on Amber BS if she knows and all that. We already talked about that. Robot. Let's talk about the robots before we get into the big meat and potatoes of the father son.
So this was heady, man.
Yeah, it was. So I knew going into this that the robot's name was Rudy Connors, yet we keep calling him Robot. So I didn't know what to make of that. And they're like, oh god, because this whole episode, my thought process as the show's going is that he's going to make the perfect team. He's going to engineer him by using Rex Splode's DNA that he acquired. That's what I thought it was going to be cloning Rex Splode's for like an army or something sinister, like making a perfect super team or something. But no, he just made a body for himself. He has like a quado body in real life, apparently.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like with the Monster Girl thing, Dragon. I've definitely heard some people criticize it, but for me, I like it. I like there's a big pathos to it for me, where it's like neither of them are really obviously in a position in terms of their physical bodies where they can really be in a relationship. But by the same point, it's like, they're both like in terms of like physical age, they're consenting adults and so I do think that it's kind of like sort of like a love that transcends that transcends humanity almost. I like it. It's pretty deep actually.
That it is. And remember, the interesting thing about Monster Girl, which I'm really interested to see how it goes into the next season, especially given the robot big subplot this season, is that every time she uses her power, she gets a little younger, and if she uses it too much, she's going to be a baby. And because that's how she's ended up as girl instead of woman. Or again, she just used it without knowing, and that's how she's kind of used up a lot of her years. And essentially, on the rewatch, it seems to me that he turned himself into a kid. He cloned himself a younger version of Rex Explode's body, so he could, I believe, kind of court Monster Girl. But by the same token, if I read it right, he's done this whole process to see if he can maybe do something similar for Monster Girl, and that's like a
that's what I
solution.
read it as too. Sure,
We won't really know that until next season because he kind of tease up that again. I'd like to do the same for you, and then we just kind of get distracted by the big hullabaloo that's going on. Which justifiably so. But yeah, I love that he's the Mueller twins. He kind of screwed over the Mueller twins after everything. There, we have this really dramatic scene of like there's always been that wonderful running gag of the you're the clone, you're the clone. I'll let you out, but you got to say you're the clone. Been this fun runner with a really dramatic payoff.
It's just been a fun running joke, and you're right. It's like it totally gets turned on its head. It's like, oh shoot, like no, it's there. Like there we go. It's like it is at least one of the most dramatic moments in the show. Certainly one of the most dramatic non-Omni-Man related moments.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, as they mentioned, it's a copy, not a transfer. Okay, you're not just putting your mind in the body. You're making a second version of yourself, and a part of you has to die to transcend, essentially, which is really, again, just the poor Quado mutated body that was controlling the robot man. It's creepy as all get out and just sad.
All
right, let's see. So, yeah. All right, so the timetable has been moved up for Omni-Man. He was eventually going to have this conversation with his son on his own terms, but I love that. I love how nervous Omni-Man is. Like, he's on Mount Everest. I love how we use Mount Everest in the show, but we use like 3 very key points. We use it when they're like just kind of having some father-son bonding time on the top of Mount Everest. We use it here when he's rehearsing how the heck he's going to sell his son on like, I love you, son, and you're a Viltrumite is what we do. And of course, ultimately, the big emotional catharsis bloodily takes place on Mount Everest later on. So Cecil's main objective this whole episode is, okay, we got to save the kid. He's our only deterrent. We got to turn him against this father. But to do that, we need the slowest father ends. We're going to throw everything we have in terms of
Cecil is fucking awesome in this.
Yeah, this is his episode, finale,
man.
Yeah.
This episode in particular, sure. He really just I love it's like, I like how it's like when he's first introduced, you honestly are not sure like if you should be rooting for him or not, like if you should trust him. He kind of seems like a shady government agency guy. But then no, as the series goes on, it's very clear, like, no, this guy is easily like you said, like Adam E. This may be a little bit more virtuous, but I mean, honestly, not even by that much. It's like this guy, he's got a huge heart when it comes down to it,
Absolutely. I mean, that's a difference. Like, he's not doing anything. He's doing things in a shady manner, but not shady things. That's the difference.
Right.
Because everything he's doing is to help people. And again, it's shady as all. Because essentially, he took that really creepy D.A. Sinclair guy's technology, and he's essentially in the works of building like an army of dead soldiers. Which, I mean, there are a lot of ethical lines there, I'm sure, but it was effective in slowing Omni-Man down, so there was a point to it. I love that Cecil hated working with that guy, though, because he's so creepy and what he's done to people is just abhorrent. So he hates him, though. But you're right. So, we have like all sorts of deterrents. Like we have like a Justice League in the animated show. They have like a giant space laser, which we have here, which is kind of cool. We have like the whole Reanimen, zombies. We have the upgraded, pissed off version of the giant kaiju squid monster.
Yeah, all great stuff.
By the way, Eve living in the woods and helping people, which is really nice. Okay, so the big confrontation kind of starts. I love father and son are kind of fighting a kaiju together, which is that tension that's just mounting. And what the heck is going to sell Mark on the idea his father is not a good guy? Well, I'll tell you. The Mueller twins got really mad with Robot, and they brought back the Immortal, which was their insurance. They put a control collar on him, but the collar was faulty, so the Immortal's just back. And he is mad as heck. And he's mad at guess who? Guy who killed him. So he's attacking... He's attacking Omni-Man, and Omni-Man, well, what's he going to do? He's going to have to kill him. So he kills him in full view of the press, his son, and everyone, and we have to talk. No post-credit scene. Big lead-in.
Not just kill him, but literally rip him in half.
Yuck. And also, I love that the Immortal, I love that the Immortal can keep coming back because of his namesake, by the way. But a little fun fact, I haven't read the comic, Tiki, but there's like a little Easter egg in here. It's fully in the comic, I'm sure. I think the Immortal is technically Abraham Lincoln.
Is he really? Oh my
Seriously,
god, that's awesome.
so let me tell you. So if you look, so when the Immortal comes back to life,
Uh-huh.
you see a couple flashes. So the idea of the Immortal is like Vandal Savage, the Immortal, bad guy character in the DC universe, like the guy who's older than Ra's al Ghul. So he seemed like as a caveman getting his powers, which is like Vandal Savage. And then you see him through a time. You have like a little image of John Wilkes Booth about to shoot the Immortal in the back of the head, and he looks very much like Lincoln in the comics. I'm pretty sure he was Abraham Lincoln. There's a little Easter egg to that story. So it's crazy. So the fact we cannot kill the Immortal is going to keep coming back. We can tease up that he's coming back next season. So yeah. Anyway, finale time.
All right. Okay. Where I really come from. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just like a big, like, hour-long beatdown, Dragon. It really is. It's the toughest father-son tough love moment of all time.
This is an amazing finale that we just built up to so wonderfully. Just that my favorite. Sorry, I keep doing it. It's a bad habit, folks. I can't stop it. But it's this horrifying realization we have at the top, where Mark realizes his father's not under mind control. His instincts, like he's attacking Dad. Who's doing this to you? Bam, bam. Like this is no, son. This is me. This is the truth. And it gives him that sad Viltrum, the actual thing of Viltrum. Viltrum ain't Krypton. It's like Planet Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, where it's like we send out warriors to conquer planets.
It essentially feels like the whole planet is just like one giant Hunger Games, where it's like they're essentially just like constantly trying to out-survive each other.
And ended up doing like what Thanos wants. It wiped out half the planet's population for the weed out the weak of the species, which is insane.
And Dragon, I already teased this up on Memoirs, but I can't fucking wait for the leader of the Vitramites, who's a spitting image of Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, so it seems. I looked rewatching the episode after you told me that. All the Viltrumites have mustaches. All the men have mustaches, which is great. I love that idea so much. It's awesome. Why Dragon, mustaches? You know what?
I really, really hope that. Oh, why am I fucking blanking on his name? I'm fucking stupid. Jesus Christ!
Give me something. Who?
The guy who fucking played Freddie Mercury. Jesus Christ.
Rami Malek?
Yeah, I should know that. God. Fucking don't get old, Dragon. Don't get old. Fuck. Jesus. It's like I feel like I'm halfway to being Anthony Hopkins in The Father, I swear to God. But, no, honestly, when I have moments like that, it really is concerning. But, yeah, what if Rami Malek voiced the Freddie Mercury Viltrumite? Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, God, that'd be crazy. But honestly, to make that land, though, wouldn't he have to sound just like Freddie Mercury, though?
Well, he kind of did sound just like Freddie Mercury. That's sort of why he won the Oscar.
No. I know that. What I'm saying is, like, would it be Rami Malek just, performing? He's doing that character, or would it be like him just literally as? So it'd be him. Basically, the leader of the Viltrumites absolutely is Freddie Mercury then.
Yeah. I mean, like not in canon. Like he's not actually like.
I know that.
Mercury, but
yeah, sure. What I mean is, we're gonna model him exactly after.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, it would be kind of royal and everything, kind of the queen of queens sort of idea. I don't know.
Right.
All right, so
I mean, if we're going off of like, what if all the Viltrumites are based off like iconic mustaches? Like, what if there's like an Albert Einstein Viltrumite?
I'd be down for that. Planet of the Mustaches.
Oh God, and there's a particular evil mustache that I'm not even gonna name, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
We could go that route, maybe.
All right, anyway.
Right, so the train scene.
Yes, so we the bloodiest this whole scene was the bloodiest superhero fight of all time, no question. Again, Nolan he's basically trying to educate Mark in the hardest way possible about the futility of protecting humanity, and like we're doing all sorts of stuff. It's like, what if Man of Steel had collateral damage? What if it had legit collateral damage? that we actually talked about, and we showed in brutal honesty and had a
Right,
point to it. So we, everything that he's done to train him, he's just using it to brutalize Mark, like crushing people's heads after he saves a pilot. And then it gets progressively worse as it builds and builds. Like he's saving a woman and a child, ends up just her arms saved after the building collapses. How can it get any worse and more traumatizing than that? Tiki, tell the folks.
I mean, he literally, like, you guys know what happened. I don't need to describe it. You saw the episode.
The most horrific superhero kill ever. Just like the train is like a thing of like Superman saves people from like careening off a train. Spider-Man fights on top of a train. The train is a built-in superhero symbol.
Totally. And just literally Omni-Man just crashes Mark head first into the train and into just like a whole shit ton of bodies, Dragon.
It's just the fact that he holds him there. That's what gets. It's the fact that he's using his son's namesake of being invincible.
Yeah.
To get an up close and personal look at how vulnerable and how easily killed humans are. And Simmons is astonishing this whole episode. This is the Emmy mustache episode right here. This is the Simmons gets more chilling and increasingly monstrous. Like his eyes really trying to be gouged out by the immortal, so he's like got these really bloodshot red eyes, and he gets more.
Oh, the bloodshot eyes are a great touch. Yeah.
By the time we get to Mount Everest, like the way we pose him and everything looks all muscly and even more monstrous than before, and it gets really scary. And just like we're getting the full whiplash here, kids. I mean, of him just like yelling at him, yelling really. Also, like the thing I love before all this happened too is it's like when he's trying to be calm with Mark at the top there. He has that really cynical argument for like, yeah, but you love mom, you love everything. He says, I love your mother, but more as like a pet.
That is to me the moment of the whole series so far. Like that, if I had to boil down the show to one moment, it's that. Like. Oh God, it's such a gut punch, and I love how we see the aftermath of it too in the final moments of the season.
Debbie is destroyed at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I feel so horrible for her. But speaking of destroyed emotionally, I mean, the train is one thing. The train is like that's a big memorable thing of the season. But for me, I think the most artful, wonderful thing this season pulled off was that Mount Everest scene.
The face beat in.
The face beat in, then the flashback, but yes.
Yeah.
So again, we go where they were trained, having their happy-go-lucky moment, literally the top of the world, Mount Everest, and he's just throwing him in there, and he's going to town on him, beating the living crap out of him, and again the monstrous just performance there as he's just unleashing.
Why are you making me do this?
Mm-hmm. It's the whole and then we have the big line after the flashback is, what will you have in 500 years? And then we have, for me, this is the Winter Soldier moment of the season, Tegan. This is the whole, I'm with you till the end of the line.
You know what, Dragon, you know me, and you and me have never agreed too much on Winter Soldier. This broke me more than Winter Soldier ever did, Dragon. It really did.
This is how I feel about Winter Soldier.
Man.
This is this perfect response that this is why Kirkman deserves an Emmy right here. This line, this line is utterly perfect in every way. Just the beaten and wheezing and bloody Mark, just whispering out practically, I'd still have you, Dad.
Yeah, and again, Dragon, it very much it oddly mirrors the other Stephen Yeun getting bashed in the face on a Robert Kirkman show thing, because when Stephen Yeun gets, when he meets the business end of the baseball bat, the barbed wire baseball bat on The Walking Dead, there's this big, and it's a big memorable comic book panel too, where he's just kind of like trying to like struggling to like get out, like whisper the name of his wife, who's also there in the circle, but not even being able to fully form the word.
Brutal. And I love the artfulness, and like right after, like when he knocks Mark's teeth out, that brings about when Mark had lost his front teeth, which brings about the flashback to the baseball game, and just the moment of Nolan's humanity. It just proves that there is deep down there, the humanity is still there. It is absolutely still there. Like he hesitates before he finishes the job. And remember how cruel he gets to it before, the whole like, I'll give it 17 more years, make another kid.
Right.
then that's when he knocks the teeth out. That's when it's like, just again, I love that right after that brutal, like J.K. Simmons is emotionally brutal to the actual brutality, to just like that moment of humanity, then just the shocking aftermath of what he has done. And that's Nolan's wake up call after, oh, I'd still have you. Just flies so fast the blood burns off his costume, and the last image we have of Omni-Man in the show is a tear shed over his son and his actions towards his son. That is wonderfully, oh my, yes, that's your storytelling right there.
Okay, so then we just get some wrap up stuff. Like we said, Debbie is absolutely destroyed by the end of the season, which destroys me.
Our boy Joshua Thomas, he's not thrilled about this part.
He's not really.
He's not. Let me put it this way: he's not thrilled with from what I understand, he loves pretty much the father son 20-minute battle and the intellectual the argument.
But he doesn't really like how. You know what? I'm kind of with him. I got to admit.
I mean, here's the thing. I hear the argument. I can't really refute it, but I would say it doesn't bother me where he says it's like it's 20 minutes of setup that should go at the top of season 2. It's a lot of season 2 fodder. It's aftermath.
I agree, Josh. I agree. Honestly,
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing though, but I hear the argument.
And I got to admit, I feel like the ending of, like setting up all these big things coming, and then, and then Alan the alien asking, like, so what are you going to do now? High school, I guess.
Of course.
It's a great joke, but I really think it's kind of like, like considering how big the cliffhangers have been for, they could have gone with something a little bit more dramatic.
I mean, sure. I mean, I do like the whole, again, the big payoff to Cecil and Mark, where he kind of walks him into the secret room with the wonderful light thing, where basically America's tap water has been poisoned, so basically you can't see this specific frequency of light, which is for this room. That's a pretty awesome build. Maybe it could have ended there or something. I don't know. That would have been like a big phase 2 build. That's I agree. Like, there's utterly just like, hey, we're coming back with a season 2, fingers crossed, which thankfully they did. But for me, I think the real ending is probably that Debbie Grayson and the photo bit, where he's looking at the photo, and we have that wonderful like flash of like everything that Mark has learned and gone through the season, but also now recontextualized with what we know about Nolan now. The whole, I want to be like you, Dad. You will, son. After he's like being brutally beaten by his father to half to death. Like, that's haunting. That's excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it's got that, but you're right. There is a lot of like, hey, here's what's coming at you next, kids.
All right. But yeah, overall though, just fantastic episode. Like I just feel like the episode almost kind of just like peaks a little bit too early with the Omni-Man stuff, like maybe if we would have had like 5 or 10 minutes worth of setup instead of 15 or 20, it would have been a little bit more palatable.
Fair point.
I feel like it's a little bit of a less is more kind of situation. Right, so final thoughts, Dragon. I mean, I don't know what else I have to add really besides what we've already said. I think while The Boys kind of revels in sort of like being a satire of superhero culture and fandom and through the lens of superpowered people, I think this show is much more authentic as far as like it's definitely playing around with tropes of the genre, but by the same point, it very much is its own thing. I would not describe this as parody by any stretch. And if anything, that I've seen, like, I certainly pulled this with The Walking Dead as well, Dragon, with Kirkman stuff. I do tend to spoil myself for what's coming up in the comics, and it's kind of fun because it's it's almost kind of like you're anticipating stuff in a new way, you know what I mean? If anything, like I said, if anything that I've read is any indication, I think we're in for a pretty wild ride. Like especially Omni-Man, man. We're gonna go on some big journey with Omni-Man.
Call me crazy. I think he's coming back, folks. Right. 2 things. One, a banner, Tiggy.
I already got it.
Oh. No, I mean, we need the SpoilerCast banners.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We need the SpoilerCast banner.
Okay, so I mentioned one thing. I'm going to get in my final thoughts because I'll be kicking myself. I didn't bring up this one of the fun observations of the season. So in the comics, the high school is called Reginald Val Johnson High School, and they actually got Reginald Val Johnson to play the principal as Mr. Winslow for like Mr. Carl Winslow. It's adorable. Also in episode 5, it makes episode 5 the best episode. Just saying. All right, okay, so final thoughts for me. This is exactly what we need to shake up the medium. I mean that on all fronts. I'm talking comics, animation, superheroes, and just storytelling in general. Those are the kind of stories that we need, guys. I'm very impressed with Kirkman after this. Truly, I love how intimate yet bigger than life the story is. Yet it's not just the boys cashing. It's not just like, hey, another cynical superhero thing. No, the boys is the most cynical superhero take ever. But this is not that. No, this is a very earnest thing you can get invested into. But there are actual stakes, bloody stakes, scary stakes. But there are stakes. It's very investing. It's got a lot of heart, and I'm rooting for this Grayson kid every step of the way. And I have the feeling I'm not the only one. I'm so thrilled we're getting more, and give that Emmy a mustache.
All right, have a good night, folks. I know where your family lives.
Your family lives.